continue the Lamar conversation with my girl, Kelsey Nicole Nelson from Bally Sports and Fox Sports. Thank you so much for joining us, first of all.
Of course. Thank you, ladies, for having me. No better way I'd love to spend a Wednesday than with you all. So I appreciate it so much.
Yes.
So like myself, Kelsey is in the Maryland area. And so obviously she, I'm sure she follows this as well. When you saw the non-exclusive tag and then you saw the domino effect from that yesterday, what was your initial thoughts?
I think all of us were waiting for that 4 p.m. deadline and just saying, what in the world are the Baltimore Ravens doing? Because they decided to make us wait literally till the last hour for us to figure out what was going to happen with Lamar Jackson. So honestly, I think this is where we thought we would be. It's basically, if it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it probably is a duck. And Baltimore has been dragging us through the situation with Lamar Jackson, Reeta, for about 2 years now. We've been saying, what are you going to do? Is he the guy? Is he the future of this franchise? So I think for me, it was honestly disheartening, as a Ravens fan, but also I think it just showed you who the Ravens really think they have in Lamar Jackson. They're saying, we keep talking about Lamar Jackson betting on yourself. Well, the Ravens are like, hey, go ahead and bet on yourself. We'll put this tag on you and go test the market. Go see how it is. Basically saying, we've dated you for a while. We're not sure yet if we want to marry you. So go ahead and test the waters. We'll see if you welcome you back home. But I think right now we're just seeing there's just so much coming out of Baltimore. It's just messy business, to be honest with you, Reeta. Messy business, from everything happening with Lamar to J.K. Dobbins to Rashad Bateman. And this is a Ravens organization that has been highly praised for having their house in order. But as of late, it's a messy house, and we're seeing all of the mess that's transpiring. So I think for me right now, with Lamar Jackson, I think Baltimore showed their hand, showed their true colors, and now we're just going to wait and see, will Lamar Jackson remain a Raven or will another team pick it up? So I think they made us wait too long, though, for this action that it seems like they've been at for a very long time in Baltimore. It seems like they've had their mind made up for a while.
Yeah, it's been about 2 years since they've been trying to negotiate with Lamar, and it just hasn't worked itself out. And I want to bring up a note, too. In 2009, Ray Lewis, they allowed him to test the market as well. Right. And Ray Lewis went and tested the market and didn't like it and obviously came back. So it's not uncommon for them to allow players to test the market. I think that we are very surprised in terms of the non-exclusive. But then again, like I said, I feel like clearly the Ravens know something that we don't. And then when you started seeing teams say, hey, we don't want no parts of that, maybe that's what we didn't know and why they did the non-exclusive tag. And it adds the fact that $32 million against your cap as opposed to $45 million. That's a $13 million difference. And it gives you a little bit of leeway because the Ravens right now are over in cap space.
Kelsey,
exactly right.
You were tweeting a lot about the fact that all these teams were coming out publicly. And I don't know if you heard Reeta and I earlier, but she believes it's collusion. And you see J.J. Watt, who's like, why is everyone coming out publicly? So, I mean, you expressed some thoughts on Twitter, but I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on the way everyone is just coming out publicly like, we're not interested, or, it's Lamar Jackson. I don't understand. I'm so confused.
There's a reason why my handle's The Real K Nelson, because I had to give the real on social media and Twitter. What we're seeing with Lamar Jackson, it's been unprecedented. I mean, right after we find out the Ravens placed this non-exclusive tag on him, then all of a sudden sources are saying teams don't want him, teams that we actually thought would be top markets for Lamar Jackson. And, I think, you do have to start saying the C word. Yes, collusion, something's happening. This is Lamar Jackson. We call him Action Jackson for a reason. He's must-watch TV. So many young guys call him who they want to be like. He's their role model. I mean, Lamar Jackson, both on and off the football field, has really been a standard in the National Football League. Why do a lot of people want to watch the Baltimore Ravens? Because Lamar Jackson is on that football field. You just don't know what he's going to do. And so all of a sudden, when we're like, hey, Ravens fans thinking they're going to lose Lamar because other teams would quickly pick him up because he's pretty much the hottest quarterback out there right now, then all of a sudden we're hearing, no, we don't want any of that. And it hadn't even been an hour that passed. And all of a sudden you keep hearing all these different NFL teams. And let's be real, don't think these owners and teams don't have conversations and talks and things of that nature. Everybody in Washington hit me right up after this happened. Kelsey, Lamar Jackson, he's going to be a commander. He's going to be a commander. And then a little while later, what happened? No, that Eric Bieniemy reunion is not going to happen. We're hearing from sources. And it seemed like a perfect fit because, I've been saying for a long time, Eric Bieniemy is betting his future as the head coach now on this quarterback in Washington. Do you want it to be Sam Howell? Do you want it to be a draft quarterback? Will it be Taylor Heineke? Or, why would you not want to have a guy like Lamar who's pretty much done everything, a unanimous MVP, a guy that pretty much, if he was healthy this year, this Ravens team would probably be a different team and probably would have went further in the playoffs. So all that to say, I think something is happening here. The Ravens obviously know what's happening here. And I think, unfortunately, it seemed like only Lamar and his mom didn't know what was happening here with this situation. Because, I mean, this is just not a good situation right now for Lamar, who's trying to get his money. Lamar's been trying to say, pay me my money. I've done everything on the football field. So the NFL and these teams that desperately need quarterbacks, you're denying a top guy? How is that? Because what's the league about? It's about winning. It's about getting to the Super Bowl. You know, you have Atlanta, a team that people saying it's a perfect fit. You know, we miss Michael Vick. We want the next one. You call Lamar Jackson 2.0, and then you put an article up on the team website basically saying, sources saying, we're not going to get Lamar Jackson. That just seems a little bit dirty. It's like, so I think we haven't seen the process play out, but it seems like with Lamar, pretty much his whole life, he's had to be this underdog and have people unfortunately just deny him, feel like he isn't real, right? He already had to wait till the last pick in the first round to be drafted. And now all of a sudden, Lamar has to wait to see if he can find another place to call home or if he's going back home, but on the Baltimore Ravens' term. So again, it was just bad. And I think everybody saw it. The last time we saw collusion kind of this nature, and I think really populate on Twitter, you have to go back to the Colin Kaepernick, Eric Reed situation, right, in the National Football League, and calling that what it was, right, and potentially them getting blackballed. But Lamar Jackson, there's no reason this guy has not been in trouble, a standout guy. Reeta, he's been to the flea market in Baltimore. How many
yes,
quarterbacks
he did.
can say that? I mean, how many quarterbacks can say that? Like, he's the real deal. He went viral for hugging this young kid, you know, a surprise visit at a hospital. Lamar Jackson is everything you can want and more. I mean, you might even get Kodak Black at a game since that's his best friend. I mean, why would you not want this guy in your stadium?
Kodak can stay.
Yeah.
Okay, Kodak has his own issues. Let Kodak stay right where he at.
He's questionable. But essentially, Lamar has no bad track record. So it's like all of a sudden, why would no team want him when everybody wants to watch him play on Sundays?
Well, that was going to be my next question. I mean, you kind of touched on it. It's actually my question to both of you. I don't want Reeta to kill me here, but, you know, I'm kind of intrigued by the idea of a Bieniemy Lamar reunion. Reeta, you said you think it's going to work out and you think that it's, you know, he's going to end up in Baltimore. So I want to know why that is. But if it doesn't, I mean, really, who are the potential teams that they're saying all this stuff out now publicly, but we know that teams are interested in Lamar. So I want to hear from both of you on like what direction it could go in.
Kelsey, go ahead. You first.
Yeah, you know, I think for me, I mean, in Washington, it's literally a perfect fit. Why? Because one, Washington fans, they always bring up the good days. And the last kind of good days in Washington, they go back to that RG3 era. Why was RG3 so popular in Washington? Because he was a dynamic quarterback, both on his legs and with his arm. And I'm going to say that again, a dynamic quarterback with his legs and with his arm. I think right now, Lamar Jackson is the most disrespected quarterback in the National Football League. He can do it both ways. Washington, you have these bright, young receivers. You have Terry McLaurin, who wouldn't want to have him as a quarterback? You have Jahan Doxson, this young stud that stepped up. And then, oh, by the way, you bring in a Super Bowl winner and Eric Bieniemy, who needs to be paired with a solid quarterback. I think Lamar Jackson could be the perfect fit, not too far, obviously, from Baltimore as well. And, you know, at first I thought this was far-fetched. Like Reeta, I really do see Lamar ending up back in Baltimore just because of everything that's happening right now. And probably not what he wanted, you know, not the way he wanted to end up back in Baltimore. He wanted it on his own terms. But if I was Lamar and if I were the Commanders, and let's also remember the Commanders are going through right now, potentially this sale that's looked like it's going through, finding this new owner. It's kind of like Washington wanting to start a new page. Why not do it with a guy like a Lamar Jackson, a guy who can spread the ball down the football field? He can get it done on his legs. He adds another dynamic to this offense, an offense that was stopped just short this year by the Cleveland Browns, you know, and Carson Wentz, you know, and trying to get off of that wreck train. So all that to say, I think it would be good. Washington fans would welcome him with open arms to FedEx Field every Sunday that this man is playing. And if I'm Eric Bieniemy, I mean, you go from Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. I don't need to say anything about that. But Lamar, I think, is a different element. I think it's a different challenge. He said he came to Washington because he wanted a challenge. I think Lamar is the perfect fit to a challenge that he could get in Washington. And I really think if Eric Bieniemy wants to prove himself, and these are two guys that are looking to prove himself, I think Washington would be the perfect fit for Lamar. And I see why fans are wanting it, why they're craving it. It's just going to be fans if we can see it really happening. But if I'm Lamar Jackson, hey, playing in the nation's capital on Sundays, I've got a great defense as well, in addition to the other side of the football. So other than the messiness that happens in the front office, Washington is not a bad place to go.
If I'm a couple reasons why I don't think it's Washington. One, I think that the owner as of right now, Dan Snyder, because although we do know that he has to sell or is selling the team, I think he gets back in good graces with the owners if he sides with the owners. As of right now, there's rumors going around that he doesn't want certain people to be the owner. And if he goes out with the way in terms of a vote out, I think that he doesn't have a choice. But if he stays with the guys, he's allowed to pick and choose who he wants to be the owner. There's that. Secondly, that field is terrible. If you ever been to FedEx Field, ask RG3 about the FedEx Field. Ask RG3. It's terrible. Yes, he has players around him, but if I'm a quarterback and I run, I'm not interested in playing at FedEx Field by any means. It's one of the worst surfaces in the National Football League. Do they have as much money as the Atlanta Falcons? I don't know. As of right now, the Falcons have $66 million in free cap space. 6-6. Which means that the second highest cap space available in the National Football League. It makes more sense from a cultural perspective because we know that they love guys like Michael Vick, who they've had at one point in time. It makes sense from a money perspective because they can afford to give him the most money in terms of maximizing their upfront. And it gives him a fresh start away and closer to home. He's from Miami or outside of Miami. He's from Florida, so he's closer to Florida in that regard. I think that it does continue to be in the NFC, but I think the Daniel Snyder controversy around it, plus the field actions, make this a little bit not as good as we'd like for it to be. And I'm not saying this because I live in Baltimore. I'm saying that the Atlanta Falcons, to me, have the best situation in terms of giving him what he's asking for, as opposed to the Washington Commanders.
Well, that is why they call you the NFL chick.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.